most people picking Texas to win the SEC football.
Most
correct?
people are. I think that is going to be the consensus preseason pick.
They've got Arch Manning already winning the Heisman, too.
Yep.
And my question is, if he was this good, how come they let Quinn Ewers play all the time last year?
Even though he was hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he still.
And he was a 7th-round pick.
Yes.
Well, the old Bowl coach didn't hold back, did he? I mean, if anybody knows Steve Spurrier, this is not unlike him. He was never shy about being vocal about players, which, to be honest with you, is probably why he's not a coach anymore, even though he did win a national championship at Florida. But then again, people will also remember him getting blown out by Nebraska while he was at Florida. So, but regardless, putting all that aside, my man went in, and look, he's not exactly invalid in what he had to say. I mean, $6.6 million in NIL money, you would think that it would be a slam dunk. This kid's going to start. If you just had no idea who Arch Manning was, and you're reading a headline, and you go, player awarded $6.6 million in NIL money, you would think, well, who do they start for? You wouldn't think, who are they playing backup to? And he was playing a backup to Quinn Ewers, one of the most injury-prone quarterbacks over the last couple of years in all of college football. And by the way, don't forget, initially, he had elected to go to the draft, decided not to go to the draft. Texas could have been like, no, we're good. We've got our guy. This man is making enough money in NIL. We've got high expectations for Arch Manning. We're going to go ahead and move forward with him. And instead, what happened? They let Quinn Ewers roll on back. Now, in all fairness to Arch Manning, here's the thing. We haven't seen a complete season from him yet. We've seen him against what I deem to be weaker competition so far. And in addition to everything else, I don't think the Georgia game was a real look. I wouldn't even call that a snapshot of what he's capable of. Now, I will say this. If you want to say that game's not a good look, man, he played what, 1 or 2 series and then Sark yanked him back out of there, I will say okay to that. But I will also say Sark was desperate in that moment, had no clue what he was doing, and just was flying by the seat of his pants doing things on a whim, which is not unlike him. I've said before that I haven't seen Sark as ready for the big time in terms of being a coach. He's a hell of a recruiter. I don't think anybody is going to deny what kind of recruiter Sark is. And being in Austin and NIL money floating around, there aren't many better places for a coach to be, especially one that's a hell of a recruiter. But being a phenomenal recruiter does not make you an incredible coach. And at the end of the day, what do we really know about Arch Manning other than we've seen his highlight tapes from when he was in high school? We know who his relatives are. 90% of us are well aware that he's more athletic and faster than Eli, Peyton, and their pops. So what do we really know? Well, we know he's probably got ball knowledge just because of who his family is. But can that ball knowledge translate to wins? Can the game really slow down for him and him see it the way that it needs to be seen? Because just with the knowledge, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into being a great player. So it's not like Spurrier just was out of line and saying some random things. And for anybody taking it that way, I think they're wrong. And he's correct. A lot of people are already picking Texas to win the SEC this year, for Arch Manning to be the Heisman winner. I mean, we're doing all this, and it's June, people. We're not even quite into July yet. And we're already anointing him to the Heisman. We've already decided it's a foregone conclusion that the SEC belongs to Texas this year. It's just not a fair presumption for anything, and especially with the transfer portal being the way that it is. I mean, is Steve Spurrier really out of line? When you think about it, he's not. It sounds funny. It's comical. You think to yourself, dang, man, chill out. Or, man, he's going a little too hard. Whatever the situation, but however you want to view it, that's fine. What I'm telling you is this. He's not out of pocket. And I think it's honest to say that he's not out of pocket. And I think if we look at it for the scope and see it for what it is, the three key factors, number one, all that money and you're not starting. Ewers is injury prone and you're not starting. He was going to go to the draft, decided to come back, and you didn't tell him, no, we're good. Spurrier's not out of pocket. I'm just saying. Deontay Wilder was back for the first time in 3 years. And I think a lot of people are still viewing him as the guy who just couldn't put Fury away. Now, I don't know what it's going to take for him to truly recover. It was a bad stoppage to me in that fight. I don't think it was a good stoppage at all, as a matter of fact. And I understand that he had a knockdown earlier in the fight, and that's okay. But just because you had a knockdown earlier in the fight doesn't mean that when things start getting a little crazy, and it wasn't even crazy to me, you stop the fight. Now, maybe the official was looking at something that we're not, but generally, pro fighters get a little bit more leeway. And to be honest with you, that fight card was horrendous. What was it, 11 on the main? You had 4 of them where these people had losing records. We're talking 3-14 fighters going in. In fact, and when I say 3-14, I mean a literal record of 3-14. And 2 of the fighters that were on that card didn't even have a win. Now, I don't have a problem. There was another, somebody else made their debut, and I have a problem with that. Because, you got to make your pro debut at some time. But, man, it was just, that thing was a disaster. That was not a good look for Wilder. It was not a good card. The promotion, whoever put this thing, the promoter that put this thing together, stop doing what you're doing. It was bad. All the way around, it was bad. I don't think there was a lot of good build to it. And by the way, that fight was on a Friday night, second fiddled to Jake Paul, who's fighting Saturday night. Let that sink in. And I can appreciate the Bronze Bomber being hyped and feeling good about himself and feeling like he's back in it and all it's not happening, Brody. He's not fighting for a WBC championship, and if he does, I don't see him winning it. Nothing has changed about the way he fights. And you can say whatever you want to about his opponent going in. I'm 50-50 on whether or not we'll call him real. My thing would be, forget all that. I don't like the stoppage. And the fight going as far as it did, again, was not a good look. Now, to me, he was pretty much in control of that fight. I'm not going to say that he wasn't, but it was kind of an awkward one to watch. If you really saw the whole thing, it was an awkward fight. Just not a good look at all. All right, finally here, a little WNBA. Paige Bueckers, cool move. Kyrie Irving, she's like, man, Kyrie, come to a game. I really want to meet you. Brody pulled up. Now, I thought that was spectacular. And I'm going to tell you why, for a lot of different reasons. Number one, it's cool for Kyrie to put the W on the map because he knows when he shows up, it's not just about him meeting Paige. It's about bringing all those eyes to the WNBA. And that's a good look for them, and he knows that. Plus, obviously, Dallas, right? So he's putting on, but the reality is he did a really cool thing because he doesn't have to honor her wish. I wish he would come to a game. He didn't have to go. He could just say, oh, that's cool. Maybe someday I'll show up. Or how about this? I send you an autographed ball cap. I mean, he could have done 1,000,001 other things. Instead, he showed up. That's first and foremost. Second, it puts a different spin on the league, and it allows people to look at somebody else because the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese back and forth thing with the media and them and everything else, and CC getting into it with a different team every night, and her own people talking about, well, we're struggling because we're having to give our double to everybody else because everybody's giving us our best because they all want to beat CC. They all want a piece of her. Well, if you want to win basketball games and you claim to be, or people are claiming you're the best, you want to be the best, guess what? People are going to give you their best and you have to win when they're at their best. So I'll just leave that at that. But it's been negative. Look, I've said, and I stand by this, that it was good for the league, their rivalry. And almost everybody has compared it, including myself, to Bird and Magic. Here's what we forget. The NBA Finals back then were on tape delay, and those two really saved the league. Everybody knows that. Put it in perspective. While everybody knows that part, what you forget is because it's on tape delay, number one, that means it's not good enough product to be watched live. Number two, that means there's not enough interest. And number three, when the interest was there, it was a treat because we didn't have national televised games every single night the way that we do now. Now, on Thursday night, you could turn on a game of college football. On Friday night, you could turn on a game of college football. And on Saturday, I've literally had from YouTube TV 50 games of college football recorded in one day. It is not the way that it used to be. It was a rare thing. So when the interest finally got there, to see them play against each other or play at all was considered a treat. In the day and age of 24/7 mass media, it becomes watered down coverage. And it gets monotonous. And it gets annoying. And regardless of what side you're on, after a while, you get tired of it. You're like, man, can we move on from this? Is there something else that we could talk about in this league? And this beats the hell out of always having to pick a side when something's happening with so-and-so. It's a positive look for the W. And I think that that's a wonderful thing. I'm not soft. I'm all for the other stuff. I love it, man. I think it's great. I think competition and a little bit of healthy in your face is a good thing because it means you care. It means you're passionate. It means you want to win. But after a while, when there's nothing else to cover, because let's be honest, people who are talking about CC and Angel Reese for the most part are not watching the game. This gives them somebody else. Let me check somebody else's highlights out. We see what they're about. We've got to draw interest in more players in order to get more attention and more eyes on more games and more sponsorship deals. And all those things are going to lead to more money for the players, which is also going to lead to better hotels to sleep in and, just better treatment overall. They're already talking about, the planes being better and the private jets and all that stuff. It's all coming up. It's coming together. And the college game has got a lot of attention for women's basketball. A lot of attention. But it's got to carry over. At some point, the media needs to step up and do their job. And that is fair cover every aspect of the WNBA and not just what makes them money. Because they'll run that well until that water is dry and then they'll move on to the next thing. And it's got nothing to do with anything else other than making money. And don't let them lie to you. But anybody who's ever been in mass comm like yours truly knows that we have a responsibility to the public. Number one, that responsibility is always being a go-to for the people, the voice that they don't always have. That voice, if Twitter gets shut down or they get, their account deleted or blocked or whatever, we can go directly to the source, the powers that be, and ask them, why did you do this? We make sure they have somebody to answer to. That's first and foremost. Second, we bridge that gap between the people and the people in power. Thirdly, we give fair and accurate reporting. And it's just not happening anymore. And it's frustrating to me. And we're too far gone, I think, to ever get back to it. And the polarization of the media has really affected it. But it's also partially our fault because we are engulfed in this stuff. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. And we need to stop pretending like it's not our fault. We make people famous. People get mad at why is ESPN posting this? Because you comment on it. That's why. They don't care if you appreciate the content or not. If you are typing out, I hate this content, please stop posting this, they're not going to do so because you commented on it. Okay, man, you just help drive up our revenue. I don't know what to tell you, Broham. We're going to keep doing this. I've said for years to speak with your silence. You know, Gene Simmons talked about the music industry and voting with your dollar. Sports is no different. You are essentially voting with your dollar when you are leaving a comment. You are essentially voting with your dollar when you share it, whether you enjoy the content or not. You are passionate enough about it to say something to them. They're doing their job. They've driven up their stream. That's it, man. Their revenue stream. So cool to see Kyrie doing what he's doing. I'm really rooting for the WNBA. I'm rooting for this football league that's going on right now that a really good friend of mine plays in. I am rooting for the pro softball league that's going on right now. I'm rooting for all of that stuff. I really hope that all these things are truly successful. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Just take advice to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show. Of course, I am on YouTube and TikTok, the RL Drew Duncan. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.